unique awesome people. How are you doing? As you can see, I got a little bit too much sun, but I want to talk about something that is so important for everyone in all their relationships, every type of abstract relationship out there. It is so important for people to recognize and believe in. People change. Even the intolerable, stubborn, narrow minded people who are closed off to exterior ideas and do not embrace discomfort. Even those people change. Sometimes for the better. Sometimes they will blow your mind open with inspired, new, open minded, supportive, understanding viewpoints. I swear to you, even that person you're thinking about right now, who you believe will never ever change. And I don't really like the word change, but I think it's, just the notion that people can change resonates more easily with people. I think it's more about growing and self development, intelligent, awesome, you know, good hearted people. They like to grow and evolve and become the best versions of themselves. And when people do that, even people who are technically, monogamous or identifying with like very traditional values, they can find themselves open to new concepts and ideas and even surprise themselves, let alone people who care about them. And I know that there's been a lot of times in my life where I've listened to loved ones talk about relationships and situations that they're in where they feel like just so defeated and, totally heartbroken or unable to be themselves. And they just feel like, the relationship is on this one path and it can never ever take a new route. And sometimes when you're trucking, you need to schedule an alternative route, whether you want to do it or not. And it's not always the crisis that we anticipate is going to happen. Now, mind you, new routes can come with crisis. It's not to say that they won't, but I think the idea that people will never change, some people will never change, like these certain types of people, the real hard-headed, stubborn kinds of people, can never ever have new ways of thinking, and sometimes it's true, but other times also it's not true, and there can be like these miraculous breakthroughs where people awaken and have all kinds of new insightful ways of viewing people, relationships, life, love, and just all the dynamics of personal development, which doesn't necessarily have to have anything to do with ethical non-monogamy, open relationships, or polyamory at all. But it can, and it can be really exciting when these things happen. And so how do we get to that place? How do we help people who we believe are hopeless sometimes? How do we help them get to that place where they can, decide in an organic way for themselves to open up and to experiment and experience new ways of thinking? How can we set the stage for these people and support them, and somehow help them get to this place without, conditioning or influencing or coercing them into doing things that they're not ready to do, because that's not the right way to deal with these kinds of situations in our relationships, especially from like a selfish place of desperation when we love somebody but we want a kind of life that that person doesn't want. How do we make that person we love want this different type of life so that we can live authentically and still have that person in our lives? At that breaking point, people often choose to do really selfish, sometimes malicious things to get what they want instead of taking space. And I think that that is at the core root of this video. It's about being able to walk away from people that we love. If you love them, set them free. I love that. Like, I love that so much. It's so powerful. It's so true. If you love what that person does for you, you will selfishly keep them and hold on to what was, while somehow trying to achieve the life you want to have, even when your core values aren't aligned, which is just a really toxic way to live. And it will never bring you happiness, and most certainly will not make your partner happy. And you will fall apart inevitably, right? And that's what happens with relationships, unfortunately. So you have to know when to stop the relationship and or take space and be apart so that people can find their personal development factors, right? Self-growth is so important, and only in those moments can we organically, naturally find ourselves evolving to these new, mental complexities that could maybe possibly in turn give us the ability to see love and life and relationships in new frames of mind, right? You can't sit there and tell an adult this is how you should do something when they've always been doing it, this one way. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Like, it's impossible unless that person has decided on their own time, hey, maybe the way I view this isn't working for me. Maybe the way I do things, could be done in a different way. Maybe there is a more efficient way of viewing how to deal with this task. Whether it's an everyday, lifestyle routine, or a relationship, or love, or emotions, and how we view the way we love, because that's what we do. We all view how we love through different lenses. And again, I've talked about this in other videos, making the assumption that XYZ behavior or feelings equals XYZ based on how you feel is a very, very naive way of viewing love and relationships. So try never to make the assumption that, well, if that person said this or that person did that, that means they feel the way I would feel if I did or I said or viewed things that way, because that just doesn't make sense. We all behave in such unique ways, whether we're following tradition or traditional relationships. Like, we all view things very uniquely. So have an open mind and space and allow people to behave the way that they do, and ask them why they did that and why they felt that way. And when they give you an explanation, believe them until they've shown you otherwise, because we all do things based on different wirings in our minds. We are all wired very, very differently. XYZ does not equal exactly what you believe it does. And that's it. I think that's like the biggest lesson for all of us to learn. And once we're willing to accept that, we always have something to learn. We'll never know it all. And each and every person in our lives can bring us a new lesson to learn. That's when life gets really exciting, and when we start living and expanding our minds in such a grander way of viewing life, and it becomes so much more nourishing and so exciting. So never completely give up on someone, but sometimes you need to give the subject up and just walk away from it and let people grow, because you will be pleasantly surprised by the amazing growth some people can have. And it could take someone 2 months, it could take someone 12 years. We all grow at different speeds. I love to give the example that I was not a quick learner growing up. No. I was not always so wise. As a child, my mother and I used to go visit her mom, and there was a big garden, a huge backyard, and they would sit and mingle, and I would get up and run towards the roses. And every summer my mother would chase me and pull me away from getting my hands in the thorns and the roses. And when I was old enough, I don't know what age this was, my grandmother said, oh, for the love of God, let her go and get the roses or the thorns in her hands. She'll stop chasing them every summer, and then you can relax. So my mother was like, okay, I guess this is good guidance from my mother. We'll let her go get a handful of thorns. And supposedly I went summer after summer after summer after summer for the handful of thorns. So we're not all quick learners. Be patient with your loved ones, and redirect your energy towards other things when you feel like, you're defeated maybe, and they're never going to be able to see through your lenses. Give up at some point. Don't give up on them completely, but give up on the idea and walk away. Things have a way of working themselves out, and people blossom in very unexpected ways. And that's the message I wanted to leave you with on this video. So thank you for listening, and share your thoughts and comments below if you're interested in this conversation and you enjoy the videos. Please subscribe if you haven't, because that would be awesome of you, and have a great day. Bye.